of that. Wait, Jake, your sound isn't coming through. I was like, it's gotta catch up at some
How about
point.
now? Yeah, that should be good now.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm gonna turn down.
So hello there, and welcome to the Rogue Podcast, a Star Wars show. Today we have myself, David, and John. We may have some other guests or some hosts popping in here soon. Hopefully CJ will join us, and I have a buddy who's been a viewer and listener of the show for a while that is staying with me tonight because we're carpooling to drill tomorrow for the National Guard. So
Cool.
figured he may as well sit next to me and hop in on the conversation. But with that being said, we will be recapping and reviewing the latest episode, the season 3 finale of Mando: The Return. And we'll just go ahead and dive into it. If you could, please make sure you like the video. If you're not subscribing, do so. We got a lot of good content coming up shortly as soon as Jedi Survivor releases. The 3 or 4 of us, at least a couple of us, will be streaming the game on our YouTube channel. So we'll have some live play, and you guys can join us as we play through it. That should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that.
I'm too much of a cheapskate to get
John's saying he's not going to buy the game until it goes on sale.
Why don't you just get your brother to buy it for you?
Yeah,
Does he normally do
just
that?
like file
Yeah.
share.
Yeah, we already do that, so I could
The old 20 and
I could do
20.
that.
Yeah, well,
So it's not $20 and $20. It's 35 and 35.
Yeah.
Probably
Are they at
40
the
and 40,
$70
honestly.
yet for those?
I don't know if it's 60
Yeah.
or 70 right now.
They're
Inflation.
70
All right, let's dive into the
plus
show.
tax. 80.
Overall, this show did the safest thing it could have possibly done by doing
Yeah.
exactly what you would expect it to do. It was not bad by any stretch of the imagination. It was not a bad thing. It was fun. There's some exciting stuff that happened. The battles were cool, but as a whole, I mean, it was just Star Wars action. Good guys win, bad guys lose, and that's all it was. They did not take any risks as far as what to do with the characters. No spies were popping up. No one rode a mythosaur. They just stuck to Moff Gideon's back. We're gonna kill him. And we're gonna take the planet. And that's
Is it really Moff Gideon or is it?
a Moff Gideon clone? I would be very doubtful.
Yeah, I mean, someone had a comment about that, and then
Well, he said they're not even like operational or whatever.
Yeah, someone said something like Moff Gideon's got a mustache. This is his clone. And I'm just like, man, if Moff Gideon comes back in season 4, he's a great character. Don't get me wrong, but like, if all that you're ever gonna have for your villain is someone who shows up in the last 2 or 3 episodes and you fight him and then that's it, like, please give me more of a story than that. But I think that's something that I came to kind of realize, which we talked about in Andor. This show is not Andor. It is not going to try to be.
Goodness.
It's not going to try to be a show that tells a great story. It's going to be a show that wants to appeal to as many people as possible, and is going to have.
I feel like that's what Andor was.
I could not disagree more.
Andor
You didn't like
was
it, John?
not Andor wasn't like. Andor wasn't. I'll just say Andor wasn't Star Wars. Andor was a thriller show in the Star Wars universe, written by someone who wasn't a fan of Star Wars. So it appealed to more people than.
Well, that's just not true because Andor had far fewer viewers than Mandalorian did.
But it had far more viewers outside of the normal Star Wars viewers.
No, Mandalorian appeals to the masses so much more than Andor did. Andor was very focused on telling a Star Wars focused story. Mandalorian is very much a fun story, an action-packed story, an exciting story, but the story
Season 1 and
itself is
2
not so good.
Really? Season 1 and 2 story is fantastic.
Season 1 story is this. Season 1 story is man is bounty hunter. Man finds baby. Man runs around galaxy protecting baby and several
But
missions.
it's the story of Star Wars. The story of Star Wars is
But
family.
it's not a depth. There's no depth to it. It's a very shallow story. Like, it is what it is, and there's no layering. There's no layers to the story. This is what our story is, and that is it. Right? There's not
And it's
multiple
not really
things going on.
And it's rarely connected.
Yeah, like from one episode to the next. Whereas Andor was all about developing a good story, and to John's point, it doesn't think it felt like Star Wars, but it was a good story in the Star Wars galaxy. I disagree with that premise, but it's okay. We can disagree with it. But Mandalorian is more so about having a fun story and a good time. I mean, you can't deny that. Freaking have Lizzo playing space croquet.
Let's
Okay?
see. I'll allow that take this season, but
I just
overall,
think I think that this
Mandalorian is good when it's sure. Maybe it's not a deep. Maybe there isn't
just
people
think about-
backstabbing people and blah blah blah. But it's like it's compelling. I guess that's my metric for a good story. Is it compelling?
I think it's compelling in that the sense that it's fun to watch and you want to come back and watch it again. But every season, and here's why I think it's not an extremely well written story. Every season, every episode, we're always trying to predict what's going to happen next. And we'll be like, okay, here are our theories. And every Star Wars fan has their theory on what happens. And every episode, for the most part, the theory is much more underwhelming than what the fans come up with. Like,
I don't think season 1 was that way, and 2.
I don't know.
What theories did we have about season 1 and 2
I'm trying
that were
I'm
underwhelming?
trying to remember, and maybe I could be wrong, but season 3 very much so.
Oh yeah, I know.
Okay.
I wholeheartedly agree with that.
And I
Like,
just think
season
that's
3
the
is just a
direction that
different.
this show's going. Okay. I mean, Theory was starting to talk about Star Wars Theory already, about different theories that he had about next season, about who's coming back and the clone of
Well, yeah, that's his job.
the clone of so and so and how the mythosaur is going to be written.
That's his
and stuff.
job.
Yeah, I know. But the fact of the matter is, probably none of these things are going to happen.
No,
because I
they're not.
genuinely think that we are putting more thought into this story
is
than the writers
epically sad.
themselves. Exactly.
Yes.
I think that they say, all right, here's my story. Now let's just make it work. And they don't think about how can we make this more interesting? How can we make this more of a compelling story based on the
impactful,
story itself?
consequential.
Exactly.
How can we show what's going on in the galaxy?
Yeah. And, well, I don't know. Because
Season 2 did that.
Season
I
2
thought
most
season
certainly
2
did.
did that
and
really
season
well.
3 had a bigger story this year
Yeah.
than previously. Whereas it's not just focused on Din. It's not just focused on Din and Grogu. It focused on a lot more. And honestly, that was part of our complaint. They kind of got away from their roots. The story originally followed these two guys as they moved about the galaxy. And there was an overlying plot, but it was generally focused on that. This kind of had no focus. And it did tell a bigger story, but it wasn't told well. It was too choppy. And that was something I think that they strayed away from. But the finale, I think, kind of points toward next season is going to be more focused on Din and Grogu, their adventure.
Is it though? I don't know if it is.
Do you think that cutscene was putting the end on their story?
I think that was putting them in the same spot they put Cara Dune. We're putting
The
them off to the
shelf.
side until we need them later.
The shelf.
They've already told us. Sure, can we see what Din and Grogu are gonna do? Yeah, but do we need to see them doing random bounties?
Nah.
No, we don't need to see that. Do we need to see what happens to this colony of Mandalorians? I would say we can see both, but from Disney's Lucasfilm's perspective, I think that's what they're showing us we need to see.
I disagree. I think we're much more going to see Din and Grogu
I don't think we are.
progressing and maybe check in with the Mandos here and there.
Pedro's
I think it's gonna
rebelling.
flip.
Pedro's rebelling. He's done.
I just feel that if that's what they were going to do, that we would have had a little bit more of a final.
Well, dude, I think
how
this
is
was
not
filmed.
final?
I think this was filmed a while ago. Like
End of last year.
Yeah,
or no,
it
like
just-
summer of last year. Is that when they ended?
stuff just
filming?
doesn't feel like it's that well connected sometimes.
Yeah, it is odd for sure with the way that they have paced some of this
Well,
stuff and connected. some
March
of it.
22
That was
is
the
when they finished filming.
That's probably my biggest complaint about this last episode was that we ended the episode and we got zero resolution besides Manda. It felt like a video game. It felt like a side quest in a video game. Oh, completed mission. Hey, by the way, you got awarded a house for saving the kingdom. Congratulations.
I
Thanks.
actually feel like we are back to the beginning of season 1.
Yeah, like no, for real.
Yeah.
With the exception that a lot has happened. I mean, to their credit, a lot has happened. Mando knows what he wants to do. He doesn't have to worry about becoming a Mandalorian.
His life's
again.
purpose has changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's very true. I mean, there are things have been accomplished. Mandalore is restored. I think that's a huge story point, and I'm excited about that. To be able to have the Mandalorian culture again on Mandalore, not being pacifists, we have never seen that, and I'm excited for it. Like in Clone Wars, you know how Duchess Satine had her pacifist Mandalore. I'm excited to see what this Mandalore looks like, and I hope we get more of it. It'll be interesting to see how they work with that, knowing that we don't see him in the sequels at all, but maybe they just took a seat back. I don't know. But that's something that's accomplished, and having Moff Gideon defeated, hopefully permanently, is accomplished.
I mean, I will say Moff Gideon's face looked kind of weird.
Yeah, I didn't.
Not just the mustache. It looked kind of It looked like CG for a little bit.
Really?
Like
I did not catch that. I have to
head.
look back again.
I've only watched it once, so.
But essentially, we've got Mando and Grogu going on their missions, just the two of them. And hopefully, you know, one difference is Grogu's not being hunted anymore for his abilities. And IG-11's back, so the weight of season 1, where he was killed as a sacrifice, his sacrifice is no longer a sacrifice.
But he's not the same. He's by no means the same droid.
It's the same. I think it is.
He's in my mind.
It's gonna have the same personality. Yes, it's a different memory circuit, but it's gonna have the same personality. They called IG-11.
But Queel didn't make that one.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways,
it's not the same.
Anyways,
we are not the same.
In season 2, the way of Luke leaving Din to go with Grogu is now also
the
gone.
Origin of
season
all this.
3.
All the problems stem from that.
Every season has kind of like erased itself as it's gone on, and now here we are back to square one. And there's no like cliffhanger to propel us to come back for season 4. You know what I mean? The end of this is like, all right, everything was so final.
But there is for the Mandalorians. There's a cliffhanger of like what happens to them.
But I feel like they're pretty established that they've got their planet good. We know that they can grow food. We know that they've got water. They've got their politics set up. They got their leader set up.
All right. So hear me out. If I was Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, this is a plot point I would consider in the future. Oh, we just dumped a bunch of Force-sensitive, like dark side Moff Gideons somewhere. They like blew up bodies, and you know, and I would have the like the beast on Mandalore,
the Mythosaur,
be dark side and like swarm towards that and become a problem for the Mandalorians. In the next,
I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah, me neither. Were Mythosaur ever Force-sensitive creatures at all?
No, they're more just. I don't know if I'd say
they're
intelligent, but spiritual. But that is Force sensitive.
I mean, it's
within
the Force.
This world.
It's the Force working on the Mythosaur.
The Force
not
binds
the Mythosaur
us.
working on.
I mean, we're definitely going to see something with the Mythosaur in the future. But that was another thing everyone predicted. Yeah, maybe not. But I was very confident we weren't going to have someone ride the Mythosaur in the finale. Like, I was watching all these theory videos. I'm like, guys, it's a 35-minute show. How the heck is someone going to learn how to tame the Mythosaur in like 5 minutes?
Dude, in this conversation right now, this podcast, we are spending more time prepping for season 4.
Hey, it is what it is, man. All right, we'll talk about the episode, I guess.
I guess. I'm going to have to pull it up because I don't remember.
It opens with the Mandos running down the hallway. So, what's his face has just Paz Vizsla has just given his life. Din Djarin is captured, and we have Bo-Katan and her merry crew are running down the hallways trying to escape. Okay,
Din Djarin is going to be captured this whole episode. It's going to be such a struggle to get him out.
He's already captured.
So much
got
conflict.
2 guys
carrying
him.
So much conflict.
And he attacks them. And he breaks their grip, and then he goes all like ninja. And he's like, "Waya, karate."
They did take notes
waya,
from
karate.
the Kenobi show, and they did not do the same thing they did in the Kenobi show.
Which was?
Yes, hand palming them.
Oh.
No, it was. I'm not gonna lie.
Palm the helmet routine.
Action in this episode was fantastic.
Din Djarin's action, his fighting sequences were really, really good. He did.
You put anyone in the helmet.
Which is just so weird because
Jackie Chan in there.
Anytime Din needs to be a good fighter, he's fantastic. If it doesn't matter, no big deal. He'll suck this episode. So
shot a few times.
But he fought really well, and it was well choreographed. And it appeared that he got wounded a couple times. Like there were some shots that landed that looked like they didn't kill him or like mortally injure him or really inhibit him. But like, I'm pretty sure he pulled a knife out of himself once, didn't he?
Really?
Yeah. If you go look back, I'm pretty sure.
Which when he was doing the 1v2 or
I
in
think
the
he was fighting
red
Gideon.
doors?
I think when he was fighting Gideon.
Oh, yeah. I could see that.
I don't remember exactly, but anyways,
He snapped the dude's
Pretty
neck.
sure.
Dang.
yeah, it was pretty good scenes. And Grogu coming in to save him. At first, I was kind of like, how did Grogu get there? Like, it's a maze. How do you know where to go? But you remember, he's got a very strong connection with Din. The Force can guide him to Mando. So.
Once again, he uses the Force when he
needs to. But I mean, we did see that he's growing stronger than the Force for sure. So the 2 years he spent with Luke had an impact because he was much stronger today than we've ever seen him. But so
the
Din
cinematography.
Go ahead.
I will say the cinematography in this episode really good.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
just
that
the
was really
CGI
good.
and the sets, everything. They spent the most money on these 2 episodes by far, which you can just see what episodes they chose to cut their budget on and be like, okay, we have to have a really like slow pace, like simple episode, and we're gonna have our budget be pretty simple.
I'm just looking at this scene, the shot of when you first see Gideon to his back, and like just the way he's moving. I don't know. It just looks like, I'm not going to say he's the clone. I might say that they decided to use CG to put his face there instead of real life. Like, it just looks so, I don't know. It just looks off.
It's possible they like transposed it onto the body or something. Like maybe his armor was fake or something like that, or he wasn't actually in there because he couldn't make all those movements. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, I feel like it's just something.
Kind of like
I
the
don't
Captain
know what it
America body on some little dude's.
Correct.
Captain America's face and little dude's body, something like that. But they decide they're going to go straight for Gideon. Bo-Katan meets up with them. This is something I thought was weird, like even right when it happened, or later on. I didn't notice it when it first happened. It looks fine.
Does that not? It looks like a video game cutscene.
I don't know. Looks fine to me.
Like, plus his face just literally isn't moving.
Now, Bo and her scout team decide they're going to retreat and try to leave, right? Because they're overwhelmed. And Din says, I'm going to take them on my own. Din doesn't make a ton of sense, but I understand. As they're retreating, she's trying to attack Axe Woves, and Axe is heading up into space, or not space, they're in the atmosphere, and to get the reinforcements. So I'm going to kind of skip around a little bit here, but they get to the underground garden or farm, whatever you want to call it, and they're there for like literally 10 seconds, and like your reinforcements are here, like, all right, let's turn around.
They're like, oh, we can take a moment to rest here.
Yeah, that was just a little forced to me, like just the point of just showing the doing all of that just so they could show that life would grow. It just didn't fit. I mean, that was the sole purpose of why they had that scene.
Yeah.
And for me, it just didn't fit. So
I should have
Also,
added like 30
I'll be right
seconds to
back.
it, like a few more like long.
Make sure you mute yourself for the stream. We don't want to hear you in the stream, Jake. But so the scene where really cool scene when the Mandalorian starfighters are going down through the clouds.
Yeah.
And then immediately after, the TIE hunters go straight up out of the clouds.
Yeah,
like,
somehow they don't hit each other.
Hit each other / don't you think the TIE fighters would care about taking out the starfighters?
Or like see them.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know.
So that
I
part
didn't
was
understand that.
That part was kind of weird. Oh, I just realized we see Concordia in the background. That's really cool.
Concordia.
Did you ever think that Axe Woves was going to die?
That's the second in command for Bo-Katan,
Yeah,
the guy.
the guy who was
The Italian looking guy.
Yeah, the guy who was gonna do the
Oh
kamikaze.
yeah. So I thought for a little while. Yeah, I did think he was gonna die, and then it like pleasantly surprised me. But then I was also like, well, I did kind of expect him to crash the Star Destroyer into the base, but like
Jake
I
going
wasn't sure
offline
if he was
messed
gonna
up.
leave.
I'm looking at the stream right now, and Jake going offline totally messed. Oh, anyways.
The audio or what?
No, it's just like because he has the things cropped, it just cropped it all.
Oh, his baseball picture.
Yeah, I'll show you what it looks like.
Saw that?
Like my head's cut off and your head's cut off, and
Oh man. Huh. So you can
anyways,
just hear us, but you can't see us. That's cool.
pretty much, it's all good.
Fun.
But Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I thought for a little bit he was gonna die, like he was gonna do a holdo maneuver, kamikaze. But then I was like,
kinda too.
I mean, you have a jetpack, it takes 2 seconds to fly out a window, and then I saw him smash the window open and he flew out. So I was like, okay,
Well,
he's
he used
not
like
stupid.
he used a rocket on it.
Yeah, I couldn't remember what he smashed it out
He
with,
used
but
like a wrist rocket or some kind of
yeah,
a rocket on it, and
which
then
that was
he
cool. I
flew
was
out.
like, it's like he's not dumb.
And
Sweet.
I was like, thank you. That writing this, like, this portion of the writing was good. I like it.
So what about the scene where Mando goes through 4 waves?
I mean, I liked it. I didn't really understand why he was. Let me think here. Why was he rushing so much at that time?
Because he was trying to get to
Gideon.
Gideon, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because this was before the clones.
At first, I thought tactically it didn't make sense for the Empire to have it set up that way. Like, why are you just having like them fight them 2 at a time? Why don't you just all take them? You know. But you
I
notice
guess
that
they don't have control of.
they do. But what's his face had override.
Oh yeah,
R5.
R5.
Yeah, R5 because they tried to. They're like open the
Yeah, you're right.
shield, and they couldn't open the shield. So it worked really well. It's actually a good plan by Din. And I think it makes sense for them to have that because if one were to fall, they can just keep it walled off or whatever. And plus, it means you can walk through there and know that you have your back secured as well.
Well, you
So,
have an admin access.
yeah. So I thought it was a really cool fight, man.
Yeah, it was
As he
cool.
was fighting them with their weapons and like upgrading each level, you know, it was really cool. I liked
kinda
how
thought it
the
was
one
like-
time, the first set, they were fighting with the vibroblades, and he killed the one. And as he killed the last one, the guy was like falling off the edge. He tried to reach and grab his knife, but he couldn't get it. Did you notice?
Oh
that?
yeah. You're right.
Yeah,
That
that was
part
really
was
cool.
fun. That was like, I was like, was that intentional
Oh,
or?
absolutely. He was trying to
think
get.
they
He wanted
wrote
to have.
that?
He wanted to have 2
No.
knives.
No, I'm saying like, do you think they wrote that, or if he was just like, oh, grab it, and he didn't grab it, but he maybe was supposed to, and they just went with it?
Maybe, I don't know.
That'd be
It'd
cool.
be kind of weird for it to just disappear though.
Well, no, he falls down or he was grabbing for the gun.
No, it was a knife. They didn't have
His
guns.
gun was out like this. I'm watching it right now.
Oh, it was a gun.
Yeah,
So that
he
explains.
was pointing his gun at
so
him.
that explains
That
why he
happened-
didn't have a gun in the next scene or the next.
I think
fight.
that happened with like. Didn't that happen the second time?
Maybe
with
it
the
was
gun?
the second one. I don't remember. It's fine. But yeah, that was
could be
really
wrong,
cool. Now, what doesn't
but-
make sense is it's so stupid. I mean, you talked about this
I
already.
thought there was nothing bad in this episode. You said
No.
there was nothing
I
bad.
said the episode was good. Like I enjoyed it as I watched it, but it's always like when you start thinking about it afterward, you're like, oh, yeah, that wasn't great. But it was a fun watch. That's what I'm trying to say. As I was
Yeah.
watching it, it was a fun watch. Watching all these things happen was a good time.
A good time, solid time.
And that's I think like
time
what I
ever.
said. The goal of this show is to give people a good time. And maybe I'm wrong. I guess I could be.
I think you are wrong because you're telling me we got no story with Mayfeld
No, I
in
mean,
the second
we
to last
get
episode.
a story, but I don't think that's the primary goal. The primary goal of Andor is to present a good story. Primary goal of Mandalorian is not.
I
It's to
would
prevent
I would
a fun
disagree. I
story.
would say the primary episode of or the primary purpose of every show should be that. I think season 1 and 2, I would say based on the evidence, yes, that was John's goal. Season 3, man, either John's just running out of stuff or someone's pulling strings left and right,
maybe.
and I really hope so for his credit, but
Cut the strings.
there are no strings on me.
Cut
But
the
what
string.
didn't make sense to me, again, maybe this was intentional and this was Moff Gideon's plan, which I think is just dumb if it is, but I think it's bad writing, is Moff Gideon says, or they say, sure, shall we engage him? All the shalls and stuff, like, stormtroopers ain't gonna take that way, for whatever. Shall we engage
These are
him?
special ones.
Yeah, I guess.
to be fair.
And he says, no, I will take him myself. And walks off down a door.
And,
puts his
and
helmet
then
on.
proceeds to not
And then
take him.
proceeds to not go after him and just waits for him to come into the same room he was just standing in and
Like
just
10
comes
minutes.
back through the same door. Like, bro, you're tracking him. You know he's in the room with your clones. You're outraged that he just destroyed your life's work. And you didn't think, maybe I should go stop this guy where I know exactly where he is. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes, I do.
the guy was so angry. Moff Gideon was so angry that he destroyed his clones, and he just says, let him be in there with the clones. He won't touch them. It's just so stupid.
2 at a time, boys. 2 at a time.
Did both of you know that the eyes were gonna open?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Anytime that happens, I'm
Slow
sure in
zooming
Jedi
in.
Survivor when Cal Kestis looks at him, the same thing is gonna happen.
Wait, what do you mean?
Because
the clone in the tube,
or I don't think he's a clone, but
or the Jedi in the
Old
tube.
Republic Jedi, High Republic.
so yeah, frustrating stuff. But I will say again, the cinematography was awesome as Axe Woves was going
Cinematography,
through.
fights.
Yeah. So we'll come back to the
Effects.
X-Wolves. He's going to get the ships, and he tells them to all evacuate the ship. Good plan by Bo-Katan, because if they tried to fight and save their fleet, this whole thing would have fallen apart. Her quick thinking to just say right away, use the capital ship as a decoy. Everyone else get back to the surface. We're taking our home planet on the ground. Really smart thinking.
They must
Carl,
have had to have
welcome.
had like, oh, what's up, CG?
Sorry, we started without you. Got some things to tend to today. So,
But anyways, they must only have like, how many of those Mandalorian starfighters did they have? 'Cause
so that's actually a
They
good
had a
point.
lot.
Because when we see them going to
that's what I
Navarro,
don't understand.
there were 5 of those like Imperial transport ships. I forget what class they're called, but we only saw like 2 or 3 when they arrived on Mandalore. And I also believe there were more of the they're not called dreadnoughts. Load them onto the what are the Mandalorian ships called? The Mandalorian ships.
The scuff,
No.
the scuff nutters. Oh, CJ left.
Gauntlets. Right? Aren't they called a gauntlet?
The fighter things with
Yeah.
Yep, Isaac
people,
said
yeah.
gauntlet
Oh,
fighters.
thank you, Isaac. So, I believe there was more of those as well. So I don't know why we only had a partial fleet. Maybe they left some behind at Navarro, like with the children or something.
That's what I was saying. Like I would think from the forces we saw, they had enough forces to actually like take on that small fleet
TIE
of-
fighter. Yeah,
Yeah,
well, the thing
interceptors
about
and bombers.
gauntlets is I don't think they're necessarily supposed to be like very agile fighters. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I
I
could
would
see
think
that.
they would have something to like make up for that. Normally, if they're not like that agile, they're like tanky and they just never lose shields.
Yeah, it isn't.
I mean, it was
But-
pretty agile on the ground in the first.
It was.
what, second, third episode.
It was.
Yeah, Bo-Katan did the.
But I mean, she didn't have anyone on the. It was just her.
Yeah.
I mean,
She didn't have a
Fine.
crew full of people in the back.
But anyway, so I thought the plan was really solid to go through the way they did. And it was really cool how they entered the fog and the TIE interceptors and bombers didn't see
we
them.
just talked about that.
Oh,
yeah.
we were
Oh,
just
you
talking
did?
about how stupid that was.
Oh,
Like,
really?
how did they not see them?
Yeah,
Oh, you
we
couldn't
were-
see a thing in there.
But they
they
would
So
showed
how do
that
they not
overlap.
run into each other?
They went
would
next to
overlap
each other.
sometime.
Yeah. I think what they
I
were
thought it
trying
was
to
different.
show was that they were like not quite lined up, you know. So as one passed here, the other group came up here, and they just never saw each other because their instruments weren't working. Remember, you couldn't see anything on instruments, so
They
it would
should have
just be
added like
visibility.
a 1 or 2 seconds longer of them like
Or
veering
clearly
off
show
from
them
each
like
other.
Different
way off.
areas.
in the
They were
distance.
doing one of
No,
these.
I had the same question as well.
It was a cool shot though. It was
It was
really
a cool
cool.
Yeah.
shot.
No, it was very beautiful.
However,
However,
did anyone else think Axe Wolves was going to go down with the ship while he had a jetpack on?
We
We
t- man, we
talked
talked
about
about
that.
this.
Did you
already.
actually?
What are you doing?
I was gonna like, here we go again. Okay, so you guys already talked about that. Sorry.
No.
Um,
I said yes.
Okay,
John
maybe-
said
maybe
like
I am
yes,
tripping.
kind of, but not as much as me.
The TIE fighters were gapped.
okay, I thought
Okay.
so. Yeah.
Okay.
But they were like right next to each other. If you would have just listened a little bit, maybe you would have heard them.
Dude, yeah, right. You have
Listen
like
for
40
the-
ships around you. That's all you're hearing is that. But
Yeah, so I thought
I
I
thought
thought
X
maybe he
was-
was gonna do a holdo maneuver or
Yes,
something, but then I was like, thank you for not being stupid and
well, especially
Using your
because they're like
jetpack.
in atmosphere. Like, dude, you can breathe. You can literally just fall if you want.
which they
So-
they could clearly breathe above the clouds because
Yeah, they're in
dude,
the stratosphere.
The dude flew to space. Like,
yeah they all flew out of
They
the
weren't. They
capital
weren't in
ship.
space. Yeah, they weren't in space.
I mean, the guy that ran.
That
from the
shot was
planet.
cool. They all
He wasn't in space either. He just went through the clouds. He did not leave the atmosphere. The ships were floating above the clouds, but not outside.
Oh yeah, that's fair. They were just like hovering there.
It's called the stratosphere.
Yeah.
But is that what it's called in Star Wars?
I'm pretty sure that's what he said. I'm entering the stratosphere.
Ooh, I don't like that. That's not Star Wars.
We don't have
What
to
do you
have a
mean? You
different
call
word for
ground the
everything.
ground. You call the air. This is still your hand.
I want completely different words. I want a different language that I have to learn to watch these movies.
Dude wants to learn Elvish
And
like he's
read.
watching Lord of the Rings.
And
We should. I learned Elvish just to watch
Please
Rings of
tell me
Power.
you're kidding.
that must have been
I
a
wouldn't
terrible
doubt it.
investment.
Yeah, I know. That show was garbage.
I didn't want subtitles. Okay, can you
I
blame
have
me?
a bridge to sell you, my friend.
So we get into the fight between
Which one?
Din and Moff Gideon. That's kind of what we're left at here.
Oh, the last one.
Yep.
Did they just like fist fight?
Essentially, they did quite a bit of stuff. They were
He has
shooting
that
each other.
use-
They shot
He has that
rockets at each
useless
other.
gun blaster out of his arm. Like, how useless is that?
Yeah.
He's like,
Well, plus a rocket hit Din in the back, and like he just got up.
ugh. Oh, it must have been a
bro.
He
dud.
said he yelled. He said no.
Oh, I definitely hurt him. Like he was really struggling.
I know.
For
That's
like
what-
3 or 4 minutes.
But the amount of people on Twitter that actually thought that Baby Yoda was gonna die is pretty sad.
I mean, I never thought he
Like-
was gonna die, but like I was worried. I never was like
I was
mentally.
never
My
worried.
head never was like he's gonna die. You know what I mean? I knew he wasn't going to.
Yeah.
I
But
was
they
like,
did a
I
good
know-
enough job to in the
I know what you're
moment
talking
make
about.
me feel like, oh no, they got Grogu. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I felt that way when Elia Kane was being the good guy. I was like, oh man, she's doing a real good job of like being the good guy. But in my mind, I know she's. But I didn't feel that this time
sure.
around.
Yeah, like I said, when I watched this the first time, I try to turn my skeptic side of my brain off,
yeah,
I try to just watch it. You know what I mean?
Me too.
And I'm not gonna lie, as I was watching it, I really enjoyed this. And as I put thought into it, I was like, this got some holes. It's
Because you're a
Digging
Simp. You're a simp for Star Wars.
Hey, I love Star Wars. I'm not gonna pretend I don't. But no, this definitely wasn't flawed.
Everyone know that
several flaws.
the fans of Star Wars hate Star Wars the
more than
most.
anybody.
Dude, the people I play Crisis Protocol with, Marvel Crisis Protocol, they talk smack about Star Wars like every single week. They're like, Star Wars fans are the worst. It's just
true.
everyone like complaining about Star Wars like
True.
all the time.
100%.
And I'm just like,
100%.
well, yes, but if
I
you
got to change my laundry over.
It's just because we were spoiled with such good content for so long. The EU, Clone Wars, the Star Wars,
Episode 3.
yeah, and Rebels. I mean, the thing is, though,
Toy
is
Store's full.
it is weird, and I think that there is some blame to go on the fandom. We grew up watching this stuff as kids, especially the people that complain about it the most probably are kids and old men, or us, our age and old men, right? But we revel in the idea of how we loved Star Wars when we were kids. When we were kids, these things had just as many problems. You know what I mean? But we have the nostalgia that we are so connected to with Star Wars that we expect everything to make us feel the same way. But now we're looking at it with a much more skeptic eye. My dad said it really well. He says, he watched the episode and he was so excited about it, or he was excited about it. But he said, after watching, he says, you know what I learned? We as Star Wars fans are the biggest conspiracy theorists in the world. Just how we try to predict everything. And then as soon as our theories aren't true, we just whine. And he's one of them too. Because we were just all mad. We're like, nothing actually happened. But the truth is, sometimes Star Wars is kind of simple sometimes. It's got its deep moments. You know, the I am your father and such. But Star Wars has never been an absolutely perfect medium of media. And we just kind of have to understand that certain projects are going to have certain priorities. And I think that's just something we have to come to grips with. You know, accept the show for what it is and take it with that. Now, like certain things like Kenobi.
You're saying we should lay over and let
no,
the story happen? What did I miss?
You missed you just go back and watch it.
But
like Kenobi, for instance, we had every right.
John.
We had every right to be angry about Kenobi because you're taking these characters that have such a background and that we have such a history with. You have to treat them right, and they didn't. So in that aspect, you know, we've got absolutely a right to complain. But with certain projects now that are going forward, if we're going to enjoy Star Wars, we have to understand. Leslie Headland is doing an Acolyte show. It is not going to be perfect. We're going to have to understand that there's going to be things that we don't like. But if you want to enjoy it for what it is, or just probably just don't watch it. You know what I mean? There's going to be certain projects coming out with a vast amount of Star Wars that's coming out that's not going to be to all of our likings perfectly. All of us want different things in Star Wars, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, I guess, the part that sucks is that more and more stuff keeps getting like canceled or like, I guess no. I think the biggest issue I've had is it seems like the last couple of shows we've had, a bunch of stuff like it's changed, or like it's half of the shows we've had lately. Stuff gets changed, rewrites, reshoots, like stuff gets. You can it's
like
just
base
like obvious
stuff,
as heck.
stuff that is it's like the story's going this way, then someone comes along and then do this, then another person comes along and does this, and then you're on a completely different
And
trajectory.
then we like introduce this, and then we cut it, and then we like throw it away. And we just like don't use it anymore. It's just like the mythosaur and stuff like that.
So let's talk about my part of the show that I love the most.
Ooh.
The
Well,
Clone Wars. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so I went back and listened to what you said, and it sounds like you're giving way to the classic argument. Star Wars has Star Wars ever had good writing? Is basically
I would
what it
never
sounded
say
like
that.
you said.
That's
okay,
not.
no.
That's not what I'm saying at all. I think Star Wars always had great writing, but I think there's always, if you were to go through and never having watched Star Wars before, and just watch it now, every single piece of medium, you're gonna be able to find things that you don't like about certain things. Maybe not, A New Hope or Empire Strikes Back or whatever it may be. But if you were to say, all right, I'm gonna watch A New Hope, and then I'm gonna try to predict what happens in Empire Strikes Back, I'm sure there'll be things you complain about, and 5 to 6 and so on. I know that the people that did for 4, 5, and 6 had lots to complain about with the prequels, right?
Yeah.
It grew on people eventually, right? And there's people that watched 1, 2, and 3 when they were kids, grew up loving them, like us.
Yeah.
But everyone,
it seems like it's a point of where you jump into
exactly.
It really depends.
Yeah, I think, and that's the thing. The people that came in watching Mandalorian.
But I love Mando season 1 and 2.
Yeah, me too.
You love Andor, so
Yeah.
it's like there's still stuff there.
That's what I'm saying.
that
There is
works.
stuff for everyone that, or I'm sorry, that certain things are going to work for certain people.
We just
But-
want everything to work for everyone.
Exactly, which is just never going to happen. It's just
Or
not going
everything
to.
to work.
Nowadays, it's never.
Now,
gonna
I
happen.
do think it's a reasonable request to ask for everything to be written and directed well, because that's a talent thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it can just
talent
be management,
person at the top, setting a tone
decisions.
that we are going to create an excellent product. We're not going to create a product that we are bringing our agendas to. And I'm not saying that is. or
They
isn't
always
happening.
will. They always will. It's Disney. That's just what's going to happen in the future. It's
Yeah.
not going to stop.
Tone down a little, moderate it.
And it's
Control it.
not. I'm not even saying it's a political agenda. Sometimes it's just an agenda to. We want to make the most money
Well,
for this, and we don't really care about.
That's what I'm saying.
fully the story.
Original.
Yeah, we want a decent story, but
That's why Empire Strikes Back was so amazing. Fox owned A New Hope, and it was a risk for them. But the way George Lucas wrote his contract was that he was able to use the profits from A New Hope to independently produce and direct.
have
Empire
you all
Strikes
seen
Back.
that? I think it was a newer Sam Witwer video. He was at a con at a
That's
panel.
the one I'm talking about.
That scene, that like 3-minute explanation of New Hope to Empire is hilarious and
Yes.
like a perfect summary.
Yeah, so George Lucas was able to tell just the story he wants. And I wish that Disney would hand over Star Wars to a writing team and say, Star Wars, you do what you want to do.
Which that's what Lucasfilm is supposed to be.
That's what it's supposed to be, exactly. But that's just not what's happening. But we'll save that for another video. Let's just talk about just the episode today if we can. So let's get into the fight between the Mandalorians and the space, or the jetpack stormtroopers.
Jetpack junkies.
Man, was that awesome. Minus freaking armor with her hammer. It's just, oh, it's so dumb. It's like, you have my blaster and my sword, and then you got Gimli over here.
And
And
my
my
hammer."
hammer.
In my best car, mall.
Oh, so dumb. But the rest of it, though, just the cinematography of Bo-Katan with the Darksaber.
Yeah, it's
What's the Casca Reeves with her rockets from her knees? That whole scene.
Just
Just
100%
everything.
CG.
I don't.
It's fine.
I know,
No, I'm
it's
not-
extremely
that's not a complaint.
expensive.
really good though.
But
Yeah.
it was awesome. And this is what I've been asking for 3 years or 3 seasons. You guys have heard me time and time again say, please get me some stuff that looks like a Marvel combat scene where Iron Man has looked amazing. I know Disney has the capability to do it, and they did it in this episode, and man, was it beautiful. This was something I've been looking for. And we talked about it before. The Siege of Mandalore in Clone Wars was awesome. And we said it's hard to do all that cheaply in live action. And they did not do it cheaply. They went out and gave us a good Mando fight scene.
And
It
they
was
they,
awesome.
they did
They're
it
short,
smart.
too.
They did it really smart because from a cost saving perspective, because they put it in basically a giant
dark
cylinder.
cave, yeah.
So like you're saving a lot of. You don't have to worry about like Siege of Mandalore. You have ATTEs in the background blowing
Yeah.
up. You've got random people flying. You've
No,
got
they
droids
essentially
running
just
around.
had
You've
to
got-
make a outside circle, and then whatever they wanted to put, they could just turn the camera and have that background instead.
Which
So
is
they just
smart,
had
and-
yeah,
I want to know how much this episode cost because
I'm sure it was high.
this is like a normal third episode arc of a Clone Wars
Yes,
arc, but I mean obviously this cost.
way more.
I would say, let's see, Obi-Wan Kenobi episodes. Did they cost 10 million? Was that the going
They
rate?
were high. I can't remember.
So
how
I
much.
would guess-
I know we
Each?
talked about it, but
I would guess this episode cost 20,
yeah, somewhere around there. maybe.
25.
All that CGI is expensive.
Whereas the other ones are all costing like 3.
So, how'd you guys feel about Bo-Katan catching a glimpse of Din out of the corner of her eye and coming and saving the day?
Yeah, I mean, she's got the dark saber. She better use it.
Yeah. Din gets the opportunity to go save Grogu here. Now, I guess we didn't talk much about that. Grogu hopping around a lot.
Yep, like
You guys
I was like,
enjoy
how
it?
Every
much
time.
Yoda stuff are they putting in this?
What do you mean Yoda stuff?
Just the Yoda
You know, the
jumps
thi-
and stuff.
it's just like episode 2 when he's fighting.
Oh no, I'm saying the whole like
yeah,
the Jack Sparrow run.
I'm
literally watching it right It's like I know they're using the puppet as much as they can, and it
Yeah.
just looks so bad that it's so funny when he's like his legs are behind and his body's in front of him. Like you can tell they're trying to make him walk as a puppet.
Dude,
It's
he's
just not working.
Naruto running.
Yeah.
And his head's like it looks like he's wearing a straight jacket.
Ding 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 ding.
It's like just so many weird things.
It
at
is
once.
frustrating though that this
Funko
is
Pop.
all done without the Yoda lightsaber, because it would have been fun to actually see like him act as a little bit of a Padawan with the lightsaber. You know what I mean? Because he's just so
Yeah.
useless in a fight. He can't kill anything.
Yep, we're still waiting, man. We're
He's
still
so
waiting.
like Din hasn't given him like a little gun or anything. Just like
Stick.
he's just so useless.
gun.
And hopefully in
Noodle.
season 4, now that he's going on to his journeys or adventures, whatever they call them, hopefully he becomes somewhat of a fighter and grows up. But it's just weird. We know Yoda started training Jedi at 100 because he's been training Jedi for 800 and he says he's 900.
Okay.
So in the next 48 years, he's got to develop somehow.
No. Yoda, I've decided this after last episode. Yoda and Grogu are not the same. I do not think they're going to grow at the same rate. I would venture to say that because of Grogu's PTSD
Grogu's a
and
clone.
such, he's
He's underdeveloped.
Yeah, he's not going to develop
So
the
you're
same rate.
saying he has downs.
I mean, honestly, he might. He might have some sort of
Dude, that explains a lot.
disorder or growth disorder where he's not going to grow at the same rate. Plus, Yoda, for all we know, grew up in the High Republic.
Okay.
Getting taught from
I'm telling
day
you this
one,
right now,
dude.
John. This is another case of the Star Wars fan thinking more than the writers are. Okay?
Yeah.
No, the
Like,
matter
they
of
definitely
fact
messed
is,
up the-
here's
they
what
already messed up
happened.
The timeline.
Exactly.
So then we have to have a time jump.
Yeah.
Here's what happened. They said, "Oh, he's gonna be 50, but he's actually a baby." And then 2 years later, they're like, "Shoot."
There's a line in Return of the Jedi that said this.
Yeah, and now they're stuck.
We watched
okay?
Star Wars,
because they
guys.
did not think about it as they should have. They realized we're stuck at keeping this kid as a baby so we can keep selling stuff, and he can't actually
Or
grow
that.
up.
which is unfortunate because by the time he's an adult, everyone's gonna be dead.
Yes.
So
CJ, you've added a lot of good input today.
Thank you.
Those of us,
one of those
those
days.
in the audio are like,
I
oh,
feel that.
CJ's here.
Yep.
So Din defeats the Praetorians. How did you feel about that fight? It was fun watching.
Did I
him,
just
It was
did I
fun.
just spot an inconsistency?
perhaps?
Yeah, I saw like at least like one or two when he was fighting those guards.
Did you
I
ever count?
feel like-
Oh, sorry.
I feel like they should have like taken him down way faster because they took Vizsla down.
Or they should have at least chopped his arm off because
He got hit a lot faster than
His-
Vizsla did.
plus his stuff, like they didn't pierce any of his armor. When
Yeah,
they
that's what I'm
literally
saying.
went straight through Paz's armor.
Well, like I
Yeah,
said,
that's what I'm
I
saying.
think that they found gaps in Paz's armor. I know that you guys. I every time I watch it, I'm like, they're in a gap in his armor. They're not going
Well,
through his
they
armor.
did that at the end, but they didn't do that at the beginning.
I thought that they were like right next to his chest plate on the first.
Dude,
one.
his chest plate goes like
Yeah, I'll have to watch it
It's-
again.
It's huge.
But
Like,
first
his
off-
templates-
Hmm.
They've got Din down, and they're like, Grogu, our primary target. We gotta go kill him. Like, why? Why did they decide just to go after him all of a sudden?
gotta follow programming.
It made no sense to me.
also
It made no
Roger,
sense.
also Grogu being stuck under the pipes.
Yeah, when he's got the Force.
Oh my gosh! I
And, like-
actually started laughing when that happened.
It was like one of those what's the the vine where the kid is like
Get me, Yoda!
I'm in the
Get
under
me,
the
Yoda!
water. I'm under the water. I'm drowning. And then he like stands up. He's like, oh,
Oh.
I can stand up.
Or like the video of the guy who gets sniped in Call of Duty. He's like, "Hey, pick me up, pick me up, pick me up." They're
And
like,
then-
"Dude,
He's just
you're not
in front of
down."
him.
He's like, "Oh," he just stands up.
But did Din's blasters not go through the Praetorian Guard's armor?
I'd
They
have to
did.
watch it again. I thought
they
so.
did.
Yeah, they definitely took hits. Yeah, it went straight through his shoulder.
Kind of.
Yeah.
But is
What's
their
the
armor
point of
not
ar-
supposed to be Beskar?
I don't
No,
think it's
they don't have
Beskar, but
Beskar.
it's better than plasteel, like the Stormtrooper armor.
Like barely.
It's probably between
It died in
plasteel.
a shot or two.
It's probably between plasteel and Beskar somewhere. Thicker armor. Because like the clones had thicker armor. They took shots and they lived.
Plasteel plus.
I mean, Rex got shot right in the chest, and it just had a little burn mark on his chest.
Yeah.
From a sniper.
Well, Rex is built different.
Yeah. he's a
I
main
just think
character.
that there's different levels of strength of armor.
Yeah.
You think
Plot
you'd
armor,
put your
and there's
you-
plot armor.
Oh, gold.
There's a short for you.
There, yeah. What
Um,
timestamp are we at?
I have no idea, dude. Anyways,
I'll just search plot armor.
yep. But they kill the Praetorians. Semi-interesting fight. But have you
Yeah,
guys ever
it's cool.
seen the fight in The Last Jedi with the Praetorian guards and looked at how many inconsistencies there are in that fight?
Were
Yeah.
there many in this one?
No, I couldn't find any too bad. But the Last
It
Jedi one,
sucks,
it's
'Cause,
hilarious.
like that one does look
What's up,
cool,
Jacob?
just overall. If
Yeah,
you
the
don't
look
actually,
was
like-
cool.
Yeah, like it was filmed well, but they weren't.
But it was filmed really bad.
Yeah, it was filmed sloppy but well.
Yes, it was fun to watch, but when you go back, you're like, okay, that person's weapon should be gone. That one should already be dead.
Like Ray's getting stabbed right here.
Yeah. And then when it cuts to her, she's not anymore.
And then
Well,
it's
yeah,
gone.
that
And then
scene.
all of the Praetorians like synchronously trying to like stab at the same point at the same time. Yeah.
Shift, boy, shift.
Shifting on, moving on to the next thing. All right, we don't have to discuss all the combat. The combat between
Din.
Bo-Katan and
Oh,
Moff Gideon
Moff.
was pretty fun.
Yeah,
At
it's good.
first, I was like, I really feel like Bo would win this fight on her
Well,
own.
he just has the robot stuff.
Yes, but he's got the Rock'em Sock'em robot armor that
Yeah,
does
somehow
make him
people
stronger.
didn't realize that.
Yeah, like how'd you not hear the mechanical?
And then I'm just like, I'm a Mandalorian. Let's try fist fights.
Yeah. Now, the thing I really disliked about this is the death of the Darksaber. Do you think it's a permanent death, fellas?
So they didn't actually show it, so it doesn't have to be
I mean, the
gone.
Kyber crystal can still be fine.
Yeah.
Like if he just destroyed the mechanical part of the lightsaber or the
It's
dark
the
saber,
emitter,
it's
man.
fine.
Like
Mhm.
it's easy explanation.
Yeah. So I hope that it
yeah.
gets reforged.
But, like-
go ahead.
Where is it?
Well, I
their
mean, they
pocket
could have
they took
just
it with
picked it
them.
up. All that came through was just a fireball.
Once
You didn't see
again,
it. Off
nobody
screen.
thought about it. They
Yeah.
thought, let's destroy it.
So I would not be surprised if Darth Vader's mask makes a return, that the Darksaber makes a return later on. But I do think the point of this was the symbology of Mandalore is no longer relying on this relic to determine who rules. Bo-Katan is respected as the leader, and that's why she's the ruler
I
now.
did like when Gideon said, "You and your Mandalorians love your trinkets," and I was
Or
like,
Mandalorians are weak without their trinkets.
yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
'Kay.
It's like, yeah, I mean,
The following line was Kathleen Kennedy and Disney staring Star Wars fans right in the eye and saying this: Mandalorians are stronger when they're together. They're saying, Star Wars fans, stop fighting with each other and be friends. That's what the point of that line was. That was the
Wait,
point of
really?
this whole 100%.
which scene?
Right when
Uh,
right when he says Mandalorians are weak without their trinkets, she sees Din Djarin and says Mandalorians are stronger together. That is for the sole purpose of telling Star Wars fans to be stronger together. I guarantee you that was the point of that line, and largely a large point of this whole season. It's saying let's
Star
bring
Wars
all
fans-
the Star Wars fans together
We need to
Oh.
unite against
against
the authority,
Against-
the man.
Authority
Star
and
Wars
hope.
fan.
Take Star Wars back.
Unite against the Disney simps. Wipe them out, all of them. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
But no,
'Cause let's be
I do
honest.
feel like that's pretty heavy-handed.
This is probably a hot take, but I would venture to say that the people who like Star Wars with this kind of storytelling would like Star Wars with what we're suggesting.
Better storytelling.
I would suggest
agree.
they would be fine with it, and they wouldn't know the difference.
You know, like the saying,
now that is very gatekeepy, so
Yeah.
do with that what you will.
you know the saying, if you think you can do a better job, just do it then. Dude, I wish Disney would say that. If you think you can do it better, then do it. Please.
Fans are doing it. Fans are doing it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Fans are literally making stuff.
Yeah.
I say that every day.
I'm excited to see what Star Wars Theory's Vader episode is. I think
Yeah.
that'll be fun.
Unfortunately, it's like at least 2 years out.
All right.
Yeah, he said.
Right.
there's
Yeah,
some
it's
kind of
cost
thing
him
with that.
tons of money. So the show wraps up. Gideon gets destroyed in a ball of fire. Hopefully, I pray.
For good.
Yes,
man.
for good.
He brings
don't
the.
return.
Brings
Is he, though?
the
Please.
Is he
evil
gone?
the evil
He
dark side
literally
gonna
has a
corrupt-
jetpack.
But that's another thing too. That like it didn't make sense to me that you talk about this whole thing. This whole mystery has been Gideon trying to get Grogu. Why? What's he doing? And we learn about it, but there's no consequence behind it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
it's-
it ended up leading to nothing. They just wipe him out immediately. CJ.
they
I don't even think what he was trying to do was possible.
He claimed
I
it,
don't-
and probably empty claims.
Did they really like imply that he made force sensitive clones of himself?
Well, I think
Well,
that's
they
what the
showed it.
goal was. I mean, that was the whole
Yeah,
point of what he's been doing. And maybe that's why he killed Pershing, is because they got to work. Because that's what they showed. Pershing is able to splice genes and take genes from one person and splice them with another and take their best attributes. And hate it as much as you want. All that force sensitive means is you have a high metachlorian count. I know people hate it, but that's what George Lucas made the force. If you have a high metachlorian count, you are more attuned to the force. So if they were able to infuse
in your
blood.
blood.
Yes, if they're able to infuse blood that has high metachlorian counts and make it work with someone who does not, that
That's the
person now is
thing.
more attuned to the force.
That's the thing, though, is that it didn't historically. It just didn't work.
Right, but Dr. Pershing is the person who maybe was able to make that happen.
Maybe yes, I agree. Maybe.
Do you get what
I
I'm
don't
saying?
know. I choose to think that it wouldn't work, and those were just a bunch of like clones of him. And
I
some
think
things.
just they straight up told us that it did, unless Gideon's lying.
He could be. He's not very reliable.
But I don't know why he would. I mean, they're already dead, and he said he's clearly extremely upset. He says they were ready, they just weren't ready to draw their first breath yet. So I think that he was on the verge of it.
Wayne
Working.
drowned him.
And why would he kill
I
Pershing if he
think you
didn't
could-
have it successful?
I think you could argue that because he doesn't want him with like the Republic. I don't know.
I mean, he could have just kidnapped him.
Maybe, but like, I don't know. I don't understand why he would. I don't know. I don't know if he's. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't understand why he would do that. Like for that reason.
Why
I
to
think he
keep
just
Pershing?
I don't know. There was no
Like-
indication. I feel like that they did work other than him saying they were ready, and even
That's
that,
the
I
thing. We
think they were
should,
just
if they
alive.
worked, we should have seen them and maybe had to fight them. And they don't have to be strong with the Force because they've got no training. You know what I mean? So maybe like
Yeah.
they know how to do like a couple things or something, and the Mandalorians could take them because the Mandalorians should be
Lifting
able
rocks.
to take them. Mandalorians have fought Jedi for generations, so that would have been really cool to see that fight some Moff Gideon clones that were Force.
I also think it's funny that there are clones of him, not like an elite physical specimen or something like that.
It's like old.
He
Dude.
is an
Old
elite
dude.
physical
Man.
specimen.
He thinks he's an elite.
It might have
physical
been like
specimen.
30 years ago.
Yes. Maybe he cloned a younger version of himself.
But it's
It looks
interesting
like-
because
But maybe.
you don't
Well,
think that
I didn't
he
know.
would want more clones of himself in just
Yeah.
instead of just those.
Well, maybe those are
12?
just the first.
But the
it's
Emperor
the
did.
first batch.
What if one of them wants to take over? Like,
Yeah, I'd
how
be
is
like,
he
hey,
gonna
bro,
stop the
I'm
Force
force sensitive.
version?
You're not. Yes.
I've seen the Santa Claus too. I know how this goes. Disney knows how this.
No, that
goes.
was a question I had as well. So
Doodle Bob.
again,
Doodle
just
Bob.
issues with the
Doodle Bob?
writing. Just issues
Yeah.
with the writing.
I don't mind the pursuit. I just think the execution of that pursuit in the show is
Well,
kind of weird.
It just didn't have any consequence. 3 seasons of this building up just for them to get wiped out with a button push. It's just like, and I don't even know if he
Yeah.
knew what he was doing. I don't think he was just smashing buttons.
Yeah,
It
like
was-
I enjoyed the Dark Empire storyline way better. Just bring
Yeah.
back the Emperor.
Well,
He
that's
falls
still
to the
being
dark side.
pursued, but
Well, no, Dark Empire.
oh, yeah.
And not necessarily. I don't think it will be.
No.
Um.
All right.
be-
So
Yeah.
wrapping up the story, they kind of had their little prologue. It seemed like an end of a show, not the end of a season, which we discussed. But the whole ceremony with
Epilogue.
thank you, epilogue with Paz Vizsla's son, they rebaptize him for whatever
Weird.
purpose.
Apparently, I don't know why they don't believe in full immersion. It's kind of
Yeah, I know.
sacrilegious.
At
Like
least it was not infant baptism. He had to make the claim for himself.
sprinkling.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have to speak. I wholeheartedly agree with that. They have to be able to speak the creed.
Yeah, you can't.
But like sprinkling
yeah, come on.
seems a little haphazard.
I mean, there is no resurrection though in the Mandalorian
do it.
Creed, and that is what the baptism is supposed to
Risky.
signify.
But they
Anyways.
said you have to bathe in the waters. I don't.
A sponge bath.
Am I clean? Am I clean if I just?
Top of your head is, or top of your helmet is.
What is the
But no,
percentile
they had to
skin
bathe in
covered
the
by
waters.
water to get
Careful.
bathed?
They had to bathe in the waters to
Be redeemed.
be redeemed of their sin. Yes, which is not what.
So
this
what
came out to
about?
do.
So you're saying Mandalorians don't have original sin?
No.
Okay.
Anyways, this is not a theology podcast.
No, it's a Mandalore out.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. But I would have liked them to have like mentioned the sacrifice of Paz Vizsla and like what he did being the reason that they're there today, especially with the kids or the dude's son right there. You know what I mean? Again, it's a missed opportunity of having some weight to the episode to draw back to that, and maybe have the kid be like crying, which you're going to be able to see.
How about the mythosaur
Yeah, so
being in perfect daylight somehow?
there's a cave that has a underwater cave that you can see the sun from.
Okay, but
But Grogu definitely
So-
sensed him, and that's the only reason I think that it might point towards something my dad talked about, of potentially Grogu riding the Mythosaur someday.
so then when Bo and Din were down there, it wasn't it daytime or was it
I don't
nighttime?
know, man, John. Maybe they had a light on their camera. I don't know, dude.
Helmet
I
cam.
mean, what you want them to do?
Light.
Go down there and just show blackness and not see anything?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Get out of here, John.
It's dark down there, dude.
Watch it on your phone in the dark.
But then
too
it
much
will
shadow.
appear lighter that way if you go in the dark. I'm just saying.
Not if you turn the brightness down.
Oh, okay. So go
How
out
about-
in the light and then turn the brightness down.
How about them lighting the forge?
Yeah, that was cool enough. I enjoyed that. What was weird to me though
Okay.
was the idea of him saying, "Can Grogu become a Mandalorian?"
This part was funny. Twitter was
Oh, really?
crying tears of rage.
I-
No, not tears of rage. Tears of
Laughter.
no. Sorrow and happiness
I
that
thought
like
this
he
was-
finally adopted him.
I thought this was like the perfect moment for Grogu to step up and say, "This is the way." You know what I mean?
Something.
And to like be able to speak.
Something.
Would that not have been or the way? Okay, here's the question I have: would it be if Grogu is speaking when he say the way this is, or
We already know how Yaddle speaks.
this
So
this the way is,
this the way is.
or the way this is?
The way this is sounds better.
But is that what Yoda did? Because he did it really weird. I don't know if it's the way this is or this the way.
So he says, "Begun. The Clone War has."
yes.
So he
The
would
verb
say,
goes first.
this the way is.
No.
"Yes."
Yeah,
I would say,
is.
"Yeah."
Yes, it's this the
Well,
way
you-
is.
I
Even
would
though
say-
you think it is, because my first thought was it was
The way.
this
this
is.
It could be either.
Yeah, I don't know.
It
Yeah.
could be either.
I don't think it's that
Clone Wars
Because
consistent.
he
has
generally
begun.
says
Has is the verb.
says what he wants to emphasize first.
Yeah.
So if he wants to emphasize
So
this,
it's the subject of the sentence is first.
not necessarily, because begun the Clone
No,
Wars.
begun
has.
is the yeah.
begun is a
the way
Yeah.
this is.
It's a linking verb.
no. It's not
Is
even
the
necessarily
way
the
this.
verb. It's not even necessarily the verb
Yeah.
that's first or
yeah.
preposition. It's just whatever he
The
wants.
verb
to
is actually
emphasize.
has.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's whatever he wants to emphasize.
Yeah, weird. All right. Anyways,
So begun is an adverb.
yeah,
English.
adverb. Mhm.
English.
Adverb. Okay.
No.
So it's whatever he wants to
has
emphasize.
is an adverb. Begun is a past tense verb. Has begun.
Has begun is a past participle.
Moving on. This is the worst possible
We have an
commentary.
account. We have a CPA. We
A
have
math teacher,
A math teacher.
a genius, and Dave.
and we all have college degrees. We can't figure this out.
And no life. All right.
No.
So did you guys not think that like Grogu's been referenced as Din's son several times?
Present
I
perfect.
was under the impression that he already had adopted him. She had said you're a clan of two, which I guess clan doesn't mean family necessarily.
No. I thought of this perfect. So you know that couple in college, they always hang out. They always
But they're
spend
not
all their time
official?
together, and it's like everyone knows they're together, and then they come out and say, "Hey, we're dating now."
So
And
Din
nobody
just posted on Facebook that Grogu was his son, and now they're Facebook official. That's what
What
you're
do you
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes. He made it official when
They've,
it's like
they've been father and son for years now, but
And
now
there's
they're
35 comments and all they are is question marks.
Yeah.
CJ.
literally he posted it and they're like,
But
took
did you
long
guys
enough.
feel? Were you like, what? You're just now adopted? I thought he was already your kid.
Yeah, I was.
yeah,
I was like,
mean,
I was like,
I
this
didn't
is
have an
gonna be
emotional
attack.
reaction to it.
I didn't either.
Yeah, I
I
felt
just
like they
went with
wanted
it.
us to be like, oh, how nice. I was like,
Which a lot of people were. Twitter was all like,
oh, the world is just full of
cry,
dumb
smiley,
people.
cry,
I
smiley.
was
Like
wildly indifferent.
someone
too.
said that they had to pause and go cry, scream, cry into their Grogu.
I wish I
plushie.
could feel that way about everything. I mean, wouldn't that be nice if you could just enjoy everything? Wouldn't that be nice? I wish I could be that person.
We're so toxic. You're so
know.
toxic.
I'm
Jimmy.
No.
jealous. I wish I could. I wish I could feel that way, but my brain
I don't.
works.
Because the times that you do feel that way, I feel like
It's
mean
more special.
Yeah, I suppose.
Because then your normal life is just you can handle normal life. If you're always like this and this,
Yeah.
and this and this, it's no way to live.
I suppose. Maybe we're just too cynical.
But if you're
guys.
like this and then you have the highs,
So we already
talked.
talked about IG-11 coming back. We can skip through that, and
There's
then
Lowe's, Jonah.
so they decide they're gonna go and be bounty hunters for the New Republic.
I was hoping we would see Zeb again.
So do you
We saw
think he's
Dave,
gonna be like
but-
taking the place of the Rangers of the New Republic story and just be like running missions for them? Because
We're not going to see him. I'm telling you, we're not going to see him again for a long time. He's going to come back for the Mando movie, and that's about it.
No, Ahsoka.
They've got like
The
4
Ahsoka story
years.
won't cover him.
They've got 3 years to work on Pedro. Because Pedro's going to go back to Last of Us season 2. They're going to start filming soon.
He'll film
And-
1 or 2 movies.
Oh, here's a question we got. We don't see Elia Kane in this episode, and with season 4 already being written, do any of you think she could replace Gideon as the main antagonist as a Gideon sympathizer? I don't know if she has the gravitas for that. You know?
I also don't know that we need any more. Do we need any more Gideon?
Yeah, I don't.
Like, I hope Moff Gideon is.
I
is
hope
done.
his storyline's done. Honestly, personally, I would rather the Din Djarin side of the story, even the Mandalorian side of the story, to stray away a little bit from the Empire. I think there could be a more interesting story or a more interesting villain in Star Wars besides just seeing the Empire again. We may see the Empire get in the way of things or have a side mission here or there where they do something, but I actually hope the main villain is someone else, someone new, that Mando has to fight against. And I do hope that season 4 is Din and Grogu having their adventures and a different main villain. I think is it possible Elia Kane has a role in season 4? She probably will. But again, I think if the 4 of us were handed the reins, we would probably write a better story than what's happening in season 4. I mean, it probably is not.
We should do that.
I would not mind.
Let's do that. We can do that over the summer.
Over the summer, we could do
John and Dave.
That's very true.
And
John
Jake
and Dave.
and CJ.
So maybe we could do something like that. Just have some fun. Come up with some theories.
Fun.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Not theories. Literally write 8 episodes.
Yeah, but I mean, we're not going to be writing full script and everything. Like
no. But we're going to be like
for that. Yeah,
all right,
we can storyboard.
We'll stream
the
it.
process. Yeah, it'd be fun.
Yeah.
But I don't think that she can be a main antagonist. I do think she probably will be seen again, though.
She can be utilized for sure.
Yeah, she'll be used. If she's not dead, we'll see her again. That's how the show is. I mean, we freaking brought back Dr. Pershing, so I'm sure we'll bring back Elia Kane. She had a pretty interesting.
And IG.
And I liked her.
IG-11.
I thought she did a good
IG
job.
did die.
Yeah, and IG-11 literally died. Like he blew up in a pool of lava, and he's back. All right,
A pool.
I was disappointed with that.
Of lava.
so they're gonna go on their missions, but meanwhile, their home base is at a shack outside of Navarro.
Look
Grogu
nice.
and Din are chilling. Looks like a nice place to live.
Straight Oblivion.
So
Skyrim.
that is the only thing that maybe to me adds some credence to your idea, John, that they may just be off doing their thing next season, but I really doubt it. That would really have to be. I think they set it up that way in case Pedro Pascal says, I'm not coming out. What's up, David?
Oh no, Pedro's taking his time.
Yeah,
out.
if Pedro says, I'm not coming back, they can leave that story where it's at. They can. I hope that's not what happens, but they could. All right, let's rate the episode and get out of here. It's 9:42. I got to go.
10:42.
7.5.
Siege?
I'll give it a 6.
Really? You liked last week's more?
What happened last week?
I don't know. I just thought Grogu was annoying in this episode, honestly. Or like
Jack Sparrow.
90%.
Someone needs to. We need to make that a short or something.
His running when he came back to like help Bo and Din. That was fun seeing him like save them with the fire shield.
That was the other scene that I need to find it.
All right, John, what's your rating?
Low 7, just barely 6.99999, rounded up to a 7.
All right,
But just barely.
I'm gonna be a little higher than you guys.
I know.
And
8. You're gonna go 8.
It's just because of the first viewing. This episode absolutely had its flaws in its writing, and I think that this episode was very much hurt by the last 7, because it was not a very good conclusion to a choppy story already. If we had a lot of other stuff going on this season that made this not have so much weight on it, like this episode had to be absolutely amazing for this season to be really good, and it wasn't.
Or good, or just good.
Yeah,
not even really. I don't think it had a chance
to be
really good.
I think it was just a good finale. It was a good finale, but I think it had its errors and its flaws. But I did really enjoy watching. I had a lot of fun watching it for sure. I'm gonna give it an 8.5, and
wow.
The combat I think was the 10. The cinematics was a 10. The music was, I don't have any issues with it. It didn't grip me, but I thought it was really good. The only thing that really pulls me down on this episode is the previous 7 episodes just not amounting to much. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I knock it down.
Payoff for anything.
Because I think this episode itself was pretty good with a few, writing errors. But you're right. There's nothing to pay off in this episode. Or in this season. So I think that the episode was hurt by the season that came before it. So this episode alone, I gave an 8.5. The season as a whole, I give a 6.5. Maybe even a 6. It was average. It was just an average. You know?
I agree with that.
6.5, sure.
So, all right. This has been the Rogue Podcast. What you can expect from us going forward is we'll shortly, I don't know the schedule exactly, but we will have a season recap, and we'll just dive into what we thought of the season. We'd love to have some more of you guys. Not enough Pelimoto. 0 out of 10.
We should all try and watch the season in one go.
One go,
or at least like
if possible, like
3
on
episodes
on
at a time,
or something.
4
Sure.
episodes at a time.
Sure. See if it feels a little better.
I'll be in Florida. I'll try and watch it all at once.
Flow rider.
And who knows when that'll come exactly, but we're going to try to keep up with the weekly episode and some more videos in between here and there. When Jedi Survivor comes out, we will absolutely be playing that live. So hope you guys can join us for those. We'll try to give you guys a reminder like when we're going to go live so you can join us for that. We're really excited about that. And then we will be going over some book club. We got a co-host that we want to bring on named Jim, who has talked about some books he's been reading. He wants to
read a lot of them. Yep.
Yeah, he wants to join and talk about those. And I know I've been finishing up some as well.
Which books?
So he read the book prior to, I think it's called Jedi Fallen Order.
Yep, Hero of the Jedi Fallen Order book.
Something. I don't remember what they called it. But it's in between the 2 games.
Yeah, I saw it in the bookstore.
I heard it was not good. But we're going to talk about that and some other things. And then we'll just be making some plans here shortly. So expect to see us a lot. And then we'll be back for Ahsoka as well. So
nice.
All right, guys. What am I looking at?
Doing?
Oh yeah.
Look at his legs.
Yeah, it's bad.
What is he doing?
Rachel's like, "What's up with his feet?"
What is tap 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 tap?
Dude,
tap,
he looks
tap,
like a
tap.
Flintstone.
CJ's losing it, man.
CJ's
losing
He's just like
I can't with Grogu, man.
The dude needs to
He's
grow up.
overstayed his welcome.
Yeah, I agree.
Man, they're like
CJ, what would you do?
the
if
puppets
you
are cheaper
were the
than
director
the CGI.
or the writer, I should say. What would you do with Grogu going forward?
Capitation.
Hey, everyone that's in here right now, hit like, please.
That's a difficult
Retire the
question because he's already has like a lot of established. I don't know, because I would want to make maybe more drastic changes than what they've kind of.
You're jumping in now. They say, CJ, you're hired. What are you doing?
Yeah. So I'm gonna take a cop out. I'm doing one of 2 things. If we're gonna lean into the baby part of this, you gotta. I think you gotta maintain it. Maintain his little like orb that he flies in,
and like he's not gonna jump around and have the Force and stuff.
Absolutely. Let him use the Force very minorly, very selfishly to like wrap little frog eggs or whatever. That's fine, but just keep it contained.
He's not going to be in combat scenes.
Exactly. Don't give him
big animals.
a robot mech with a no button. Don't have him run on scaffolding.
So episode 2 was golden for you then, which it was for me. He was in his pram. He was very necessary.
Yeah,
but he was in his pram.
fine in that. Other than the
jump from the thing to
orb. Just move the orb in the ship and let him fly it from there. What I would rather see happen is just have him like hit a growth spurt. Yeah. The race after 50 years starts to grow and have him be slightly
I agree.
bigger.
He needs to be like in his teenage years come season 4.
So like teenage
I think
Groot,
that would be...
is that what we're saying?
Yes.
That's fine.
I am Groot?
They
Yeah,
should
I'm
just
sassy.
Grogu.
They should just
You're
have
like,
a
Be the dead.
like
My dad, you are not.
No, he's gonna talk normal. He's gotta talk normal. I hope they don't try and do something like that. I think Yoda needs to be very
Unique.
I'm all about it.
Interesting.
yeah.
All about the
All right,
Yoda.
we got to wrap it up, fellas.
But yeah, so that's what I would prefer. So.
Well, until next time, be sure to check us out. We have a TikTok now. We'll have some YouTube shorts coming out.
I will never get a TikTok.
But you will.
Don't worry, I'm not even the one running it. I've got someone else doing it for us who's just gonna take clips of our show and put them on TikTok. So that'd be nice.
Thanks.
But be sure to like, subscribe, please, if you don't already, so you can get some notifications going forward. Trying to get to 1,000, so tell us about your friends. And as always, this is us signing out after the Mandalorian season 3 finale. May the
Never
Force
to be
with
seen
you.
again.